The Japan Times is the biggest and oldest English language newspaper in Japan, and yesterday the Japan Times website did a story on video game localization. In the article, they spoke to a number of different people in the industry and discussed topics such as how localization has changed over the decades. They talk about the difficulty that used to be encountered when translating Japanese games, and then how things have improved in the modern day, leading to much higher quality localization. However, a big focus of the article is on the increasingly common practice of working with Western localization teams during the development process. The article says, with the majority of sales for big games now outside Japan, everything from slang words to characters' costumes must be carefully considered for a global audience. Here are some key quotes from the article. Localization is now integral to the design process with international gamers in mind from the start. One key example is how Japanese game developers dress their heroines, as the Me Too movement changes mindsets, says Frank Genti, Senior Localization Manager at Japanese game giant Bandai Namco. We tell them that the cleavage is a bit too exposed, or the skirt is a bit too short, he adds. Before, they weren't very flexible, but they've become more proactive on such subjects. Many representations which were normal in Japan in the first Like a Dragon games are no longer acceptable today, says Masayoshi Yokoyama, the series' executive producer. We ask our teams in the United States and Europe to read the game's script, and they tell us if they see things that won't be acceptable in their country. The job is as much a cultural challenge as a linguistic one, says Pierre Froget, localization manager at Bandai. Changes often focus on alcohol, politics, or religion, Froget adds, while cultural reference points also differ. When there are people dressed in black boots and big leather coats, in Europe that could bring to mind a Nazi uniform, he says. You can find a link to the full article in the description. The discussion is reminiscent of Sony's changed stance, as reported by the Wall Street Journal in 2019. The subheading reads, "Move reflects concerns in the US about the depiction of women, but it angers developers in Japan." And the report details the Western side of Sony becoming increasingly involved in the approval process for games released for its systems and creating new in-house standards. This has then led to dozens of games being denied a release and forced to make content changes to release on PlayStation, with this mainly affecting Japanese developers. And the Japan Times news story gives insight into how a similar global view is being taken into consideration during the development process, rather than leaving it solely to the localization department to handle. This also means less games with localization changes between Japan and the West, due to things instead being considered and implemented during development for every version of a game. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, thank you for watching.